Hi, I'm Matt, the Lettings Director at Oasis Estate Agents, and I'm just going to do a quick video on the Renters' Rights Act. So this has been getting a lot of attention in the news lately. A lot of it not positive, but I'm here to try and dispel some of the myths and put some of the facts into perspective. So what do we know about the Renters' Rights Act? Well, it's a piece of legislation that's now been granted royal assent, which means that it's now official and we know what it's going to look like, and we have official wording and guidance around that. There's quite a lot to it, probably too much to condense into one video, so I'm going to try and give you the most important changes that are going to be coming into the private rented sector that are going to affect the majority of our landlords and tenant clients. So the biggest piece of legislation that comes along with the Renters' Rights Act that's coming in will be the abolition of Section 21 notice. The concern amongst most landlords with this is that they're not going to be able to give notice to their tenants anymore, which isn't true. The amount of notice that you need to give and how much time you need to allow the tenant to remain in the property is changing. So historically, the minimum tenancy period has been 6 months. So you could include a 6-month break clause on a 12-month contract, for example, and give 2 months notice after 4 months, or you could just have done an initial 6-month contract term. So that won't be the case once the Renters' Rights Act comes into place, which will be on the 1st of May 2026. What that means is, in terms of a working reality, is that once the tenancy has started, you will have to allow the tenant to stay for at least 12 months if that's as long as they want to stay for. But on the other hand, if the tenant wants to give their notice within that 12 months, then they can give 2 months notice at any time. So you've probably heard the terminology rolling contracts becoming the case moving forwards. That's essentially what this legislation is going to bring in. It will be a situation where the tenant can give 2 months notice at any time, but the landlord must allow the tenant to stay for at least 12 months if that's how long they want to stay for. You can still give notice to the tenant within the 12 months if they're in breach of their contract, if they're behind on the rent, or if they're consistently late with their rent. It just means that you won't be able to issue a Section 21 notice. So instead of issuing a Section 21 notice, what the government are bringing in are new grounds under Section 8. So grounds is just a fancy word for reason, so new reasons to give your tenant notice. With a Section 21 notice, you don't need to give a reason as to why you're serving it to them. With a Section 8, you do. You need to say, here's your notice, and this is the reason why. So the common reasons are going to be because you need to sell, or you need to move back in, or you have an immediate family member moving in. But there'll be other reasons, such as breach of contract by the tenant, the property needing to be repaired to an extent that can't be done while someone is living in the property. There are various different grounds, and we will provide information on what those grounds will be. But the more common ones are going to be needing to sell, needing to move back in, or a serious breach of tenancy by the tenant. So you will still be able to give notice to the tenant. So I just would like to dispel the myth that it will be impossible to evict a tenant under the new system. One of the other big changes that's coming in will be the fact that there will be no more fixed term contracts. What I mean by that is tenancy agreements up until now have had a start date and an end date. Therefore, it's a fixed term, either 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, or anything in between. Under the new system, there will be a start date to new tenancies, but there won't be an end date. Now, as I previously mentioned in the video, a landlord must allow a tenant to stay for at least 12 months, but a tenant can give 2 months notice at any point. Does that mean every single tenant that moves into a property is going to give 2 months notice as soon as they move in? No. Most tenants want to stay in their property for a decent amount of time. They're looking for stability. They're looking for a home to settle down in. So again, I think that there's a common fear that all tenants are going to move in and then move out again straight away. But really don't think that that's going to be the case when the time comes. Obviously, time will tell, but I really personally don't see that being a major issue. So those are the main things that are changing. There are other things that are coming in. There's going to be plans to introduce a nationwide landlords database and ombudsman, but that's not coming until a bit later on down the line. So 1st of May, the big changes are rolling contracts where tenants can give notice at any time. Landlord must let the tenant stay for at least a year, and there'll be no more Section 21 notices. You'll have to use Section 8 instead. And just another point on that, at the moment, a Section 21 requires 2 months notice. With most of the grounds on the new Section 8 grounds that are coming in, it will be 4 months notice. So just bear that in mind. If you do have plans to sell or move back in or do something else with the property, most of the new grounds require you to give the tenant 4 months notice. Now, if you do want your property back after a year, you'd have to give 4 months notice after 8 months, ending the tenancy at the 12th month. So there are some changes coming in. They're not as scary as the media might have you believe. Yes, it's different and it's new and we're going to have to get used to it, but it's really not the big, scary kind of doom and gloom story that some people have been making it out to be. So it really will just be business as normal. Tenants will still want to rent from you, and landlords are still going to have properties that they need to rent out. We're just going to have to get used to the new system. We're putting in place new processes within the business. We're taking advice from our legal advisors and our software providers to update things like our contracts and paperwork and internal processes to make sure that we're fully prepared and ready for the new system. So you're in safe hands with Oasis if you are one of our existing clients. But if you are a landlord of a property and have some concerns about the new laws or your understanding of them and would like to have a discussion with myself or one of my team about how we can help you in the future, then feel free to get in touch with me. You can either give me a call at the office on 01784 779 879, or you can email me. My email address is Matthew with 2 T's .Cefai, CEF for Freddie, AI @oasisestateagents.com. Thanks very much for listening.